Welcome back to One Comic Book a Day as we continue with Amazing Spider-Man #1 and the bonus story for Amazing Spider-Man #1. It's almost basically a backup, but it's about 2/3 the length of a normal Amazing Spider-Man story at this time. No, I say that a lot, but like at 1963, it was 10 pages versus 16 pages. It's nearly as long. It's more than half. Where we get the first appearance of a Spider-Man supervillain, one of his rogues, one of his crazy, insane rogues, and one of the few named after an animal that doesn't actually look like said animal. Doesn't wear a costume that looks like a chameleon, he's just very good at disguises. Yes, the Chameleon! A character that's kind of hard to do for a movie and be the main villain when most of his thing is just kind of being in disguise and hard to find, and causing trouble by being in disguise. Not exactly the most cinematic character. But we also get an appearance by the Fantastic Four. Just because this universe is connected and it would be fun to have them in there. Is there a real purpose for them to be in this story? No. No, there isn't a good reason for them to be in the story. We'll get to that. So, Peter Palmer, not Parker, Peter Palmer, it's said twice, needs money because, he's all wanted by police and he can't be an entertainment star anymore. So he decides to join the Fantastic Four, assuming that they get paid. That's a big assumption. So he sneaks his way into the Fantastic Four's Baxter building by, tightrope walking into it. The Fantastic Four's, security system picks him up pretty quickly, and he is captured in like a glass case immediately, where they just constantly get annoyed at him. He decides, because whenever a superhero meets the Fantastic Four, their introduction is generally beating the crap out of them. See the Black Panther introduction issue, which is fantastic. He introduces himself to the Fantastic Four by beating the crap out of them. A+. Here, Spidey tries to prove that he would be a capable member by throwing them around for a bit, really annoying them, until he finally reveals that he's here for the money. They find that absolutely ridiculous. They don't really make money. All their money goes to scientific research on to how to stop crime. I feel like there's better things to be putting your money towards, Reed. Though, I don't know, Dr. Doom does some crazy stuff and you do need technology for that. But there has to be, I don't know, some sort of janitor or other system, so he does build robots later. I don't know, I feel like there should be enough money to pay people. So Peter leaves right away. He's more offended by the fact they bring up he's wanted by the police. It's really surprising that the Fantastic Four don't try to apprehend him. They feel bad about it, but Peter's gone. While that's happening, the Chameleon is disguising himself in some sort of like weapons manufacturing United States research facility where he steals like half of the missile plans. Because you know how like the United States keeps half of the missile plans in one place and half the missile plans in other places. It's just a good system of not being able to build that missile. He successfully steals it, but needs an idea of how to steal the second one. So everybody happens to be talking about why Spider-Man visited the Fantastic Four earlier. And he decides to, hey, he's wanted by police, so I can just dress up like Spider-Man and frame him for this, and I get away scot-free. Did we really need the Fantastic Four for that? Couldn't he have just picked up any paper bringing up that Spider-Man's wanted by police? Like I said, there wasn't a good story reason why they're there other than to have them there. They will not come into play in the rest of the story. They do show up again, they just don't come into play. So the Chameleon builds some sort of device that is able to communicate through his spider sense, something no one ever does again. Yeah, you can communicate through his spider sense, like you can do like an ultra low frequency to communicate to Superman. No, I don't think that's how his spider sense works, or his spider instinct sense, he says here. He tells Peter to come to the location where he's about to steal something dressed as Spider-Man. So he steals the missile plans using some sort of gun that shoots webbing, so other people can create this webbing, just not as good as Peter. And as he escapes in a helicopter, you'd feel like someone would see the helicopter, Peter arrives, cops rush out, he shoots them with webbing, now he's wanted for this, but he's figured out the helicopter that was flying away was the actual criminal. So he goes after them. They're about to land on a sub to give this to, the commies. That's the big threat. Spider-Man and his hatred for communism. He's able to stop the helicopter from landing on the submarine with his webbing, and then he's able to take the Chameleon fairly easily because the Chameleon can't fight. He just has a bunch of pockets, just like Elena. It's really nice to have a lot of pockets in your vest. He returns with him, but Chameleon takes the opportunity to dress like a cop and nearly escapes. Peter gets blamed for attacking a cop, but before he leaves, he's able to rip the Chameleon's disguise, so the police see it. He has to run away, but Chameleon still gets captured. And the Fantastic Four are just kind of reading about this in the newspaper, worried that he will turn evil, which is always sort of a threat with Spider-Man, because his life sucks, and he should go selfish at any time, but he never does, because great power comes great responsibility. As for this actual issue, it's not as good as the other two stories so far. It's very overwritten. By that I mean comic book writers, especially Stan Lee, till about the 90s to even 2000s, and they still do it today, have this tendency to worry that the art is not telling the story in the way they want it to, like things aren't clear, so your natural instinct is to overwrite. So there's a lot of internal monologues and characters stating things out loud that we can clearly see. And that makes more sense for how Lee writes these comics, because he's just talking to Steve Ditko about the story, and then Ditko draws what they talked about, and he adds dialogue. There was no actual written script with structure to it, so he has no idea what was going to be seen. But he can see it, and why would he add, like, saying that Spider-Man being trapped in a fiery circle when we can see a fiery circle around him? Just like an utter distrust to the audience's ability to read and what the artist was doing, and I don't like it. It's so unnecessary. So that's it from this bonus content in Amazing Spider-Man #1. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Hit the bell icon to get notifications when a new video goes up. I do this Monday through Friday, but I usually cover Superman or Batman. And until next time, remember, with great power comes great responsibility, because this comic will never let you forget. Bye!